Hi everybody and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories.
This post is from the subreddit Am I the A-hole and it's by user Rima. Am I the a-hole for dropping out of my best friend's wedding? I, 29 female, snapped on my best friend, 27 female, yesterday about her wedding. I'm feeling a little guilty right now, so maybe I'm just looking for some clarification. Let me start by clarifying that we both use the term best friend very loosely. She's a wonderful woman and I would go to the ends of the earth for her if I could. Let's call her Maggie. Maggie and I met when I started a new job approximately 4 years ago. She was the girl who trained me and we just clicked because we were so alike. We've maintained a solid friendship this entire 4 years, but we only ever see each other at work. We don't hang out outside of work and text each other maybe twice a day sharing stories about our crafts or pets. Neither of us are good at talking on the phone and both of us sometimes struggle with socializing, and neither of us get mad at the other if we don't look at our phone for a few days. I say the term best friend loosely because while we don't always act like best friends, we're all the other one has. Now on to the problem. A few weeks ago, I was having one of my episodes where I wasn't checking my phone pretty regularly. I had seen where she had texted a few times, but had planned on getting back to her later that day. About half an hour after I noticed the texts, there was a knock at my door, and it was Maggie. This was weird to me because she's only been to my house once, and it was for a party we threw last year. She wasted no time and jumped right into asking me to be her maid of honor. I was absolutely thrilled and just hugged her. I was there when she met her fiancé. He is a wonderful man and she deserves everything he has to offer her. I said yes, but I told her we should probably discuss some details first. She said no problem and literally turned right around, got back in her car and left. She called me later and I told her while I was thrilled to be her maid of honor, I wanted her to be aware that I was in no way financially stable enough to help out with too much. I just had my second child last year and I'm a new stay-at-home mom on top of that, so I don't have a paying job anymore. I knew I wouldn't have the money for a lot of extra things that I knew the maid of honor usually takes care of. She said that was no problem and also asked her sister to be her maid of honor. She wanted to. I know it's not traditional, but it's sweet. And that she would be more than willing to help with everything like that. Some time passes and they have chosen a date for this year, so they're struggling to find a venue that is not booked for their date. This led to looking at venues several hours away. This is not a problem, but they've chosen it to be on a Sunday and want to rent an Airbnb for the people who have drank too much and can't go home. This is an awesome idea, but I knew right away I wouldn't be able to contribute the $200 she was asking from the wedding party to split it evenly. I had no intention of staying in the Airbnb because my kids have school the next day. The plan was to leave after speeches. I planned on using my tax money for a nice dress for the wedding, but that's about the best I can do. She sent the message in a wedding group chat asking about the money. I texted her separately and re-explained that even though it's a great idea, I'm not gonna be able to contribute to it and that she knew that ahead of time. She got really defensive and told me I was just making her wedding day harder without even meaning to. That made me feel so small because I love her and would never want to do that. I thought that by giving her a heads up about my financial situation would help, but she really just accused me of being bad with my money. I asked her, how can I be bad with money I don't make? And she just kind of got mad and ended the conversation. I just texted her and told her that while I love her dearly, I feel like it's best I step down as maid of honor because I obviously cannot do what she needs. That's not her fault, but I don't feel like it's exactly mine either. She called me screaming and told me I was a bad friend and a piece of crap for abandoning her on her wedding day. So I just went off. I told her if I was a bad friend for ruining her wedding, then she was a bad friend for putting me in a compromised situation. I tried to explain to her early on that this would be a problem, and she insisted I take the role anyway. I ended up hanging up first this time and just crying about it because I truly hate that this happened this way. I wish I had never said yes and just went on about my business. I know I could be the a-hole for saying yes in the first place, but I had no ill intentions and really just wanted to be there for my friend, even if I can't support her financially. Well, OP, I don't think you were the a-hole. You were very upfront with your friend from the beginning. She wanted you to be the maid of honor. You told her, I'd love to do it, but you need to be aware of my current situation and the things that I cannot do. And she said she was fine with it. Now, in a group chat, she's demanding money from all of you. You try to make it private by telling her, you know what, I told you I don't have any money, and she blows up on you. That's not how a good friend behaves. I don't know if she's stressed about the wedding or what, but you stepping down to make her life easier is the right thing to do in my opinion. So the way I see it, you've got two options. You can simply bow out of the whole thing, or you try to talk to your friend again to see if she's just wedding crazy right now. And what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's check out the community comments. Cat's mom forever says, not the a-hole. You were upfront about your finances. She's screaming at you and insulting you over something she already knew about? She's not a best friend in any way. She's not even a regular friend. No need to feel guilty. If she only wants you there for your money, she's not a friend at all. And Dopey responds, the only thing I really have in her defense is I don't think she doesn't really want me there just for the money. There have been multiple times she's needed something taken care of, left me out of it. I think ultimately she's just upset that I said I didn't want to stay after the wedding, and I think she wants me there. But even still, I feel like she handled this so horrible. It's probably me 30 says, not the a-hole. I honestly don't understand why people get so upset over things of a financial nature in wedding. Not everyone is able to afford the other person's dream. She has two maid of honors, one of which you already said you won't be able to help out financially. I feel as long as you said clearly that you won't be staying in the Airbnb as you have kids who will be in school the next day, then you shouldn't have to split the Airbnb cost. If you didn't clearly state you won't be staying in the Airbnb and were not clear on the money aspect, this may be a problem, as you could be viewed as the a-hole as you said you couldn't contribute too much. You need to communicate better on what you can afford and what you will participate in. She was assuming you would stay the night Sunday, which is why she split it between the wedding party. And Dopey responds, and you know what? This is fair. Or I guess I should say my husband did contribute a little money towards her catering and decorations, but we also mutually agreed that she would accept that as a wedding gift. We did talk about several things that I offered to pay for, and she didn't ask, because I did tell her I would do what I can, and have. I guess it was more or less than she didn't talk to me about it first, maybe, or that she just assumed I could even after contributing what I already have. Allegheny Singer says, not the a-hole. Weddings make people crazy, and I don't think the bride or groom often realize that supporting them shouldn't have to involve spending money you don't have. And Amareldes says, not the a-hole. It's an unreasonable ask. People can pay for their own room, or if they don't want to, the hosts pay. You don't ask guests to pay for other guests, and the bridal party are guests, not hosts. The community agrees that OP is not the a-hole and that the friend is not being very best friendly. So now let's move on to the update to see how this story ends. Hello Reddit, I wanted to thank everyone for their feedback about my decision to drop out of my best friend's wedding as her maid of honor. It was pretty easy to come to the conclusion that she was the a-hole here, but I have an update that really wasn't what any of us expected. A lot of you had a lot to say about our friendship dynamic. Yes, we do consider each other best friends, and no, we do not spend every waking moment together. People have lives, and just because we don't center ours around each other doesn't mean that we can't call each other that. And there seems to be a bit of confusion on how I don't have any money, but know her from work. Well, let me break that down. I got pregnant, had a baby, and have been spending some time away from work to heal and bond with my child. Now on to the update. I let a few days pass because ultimately Maggie really has been a great figure in my life and has never let me down once. I know that she has been under a lot of stress. I gave her some space and was hoping for an apology. I did not get that. Instead, I got Maggie showing up at my doorstep at 4 a.m., severely intoxicated and looking like she just got attacked by a rabid raccoon. I was so shocked that I just let her in and didn't say anything at first. It was a bunch of small talk, like trying to figure out where she had been and what happened. I just told her I'd talk to her in the morning, and she ended up passing out on my couch. I woke up to banging on my door, and it turns out it was her fiancé. He ultimately was not angry, just scared, because apparently Maggie had taken off after dinner with his parents and he hadn't been able to get in touch with her. At this point, all he had said was Maggie and his mother had gotten into an argument, but they left before giving me any details. Later that afternoon, I got a call from Maggie with an apology for showing up at my door, but still no apology for the Airbnb situation. I let it ride and just let her rant because she very obviously needed to. She went on about her future mother-in-law, let's call her Karen, was driving her mad and she didn't even know if she wanted to go through with the wedding anymore because she couldn't handle it anymore. I asked her if she just wanted to come back over and yap it out. When she showed up at my door, she had a black eye, a scratch going almost all the way up her arm, and her nose was a little bruised. I felt horrible because I hadn't seen any of those things in the mess of her makeup and the dark. Her and Karen hadn't gotten into an argument, they had gotten into a full-blown bar brawl. Karen had been feeding the information to Maggie that it was the bridal's party responsibility to pay for everything. And she had cancelled 4 of the couple's vendors because she refused to let them pay for them. This was the cherry on top after several other isolated incidents with her and the wedding. I don't really have all the details about the fight because even Maggie says she was very intoxicated and wasn't sure how or what started it. Well, Maggie, her fiancé, let's call him James, mother-in-law and mother-in-law's long-term boyfriend were out to dinner discussing the wedding. Apparently, there had been several disagreements about what mother-in-law wanted and what the bride wanted, and then James spoke up saying that it was his fiancé's wedding, and at the end of the day, her opinion was what mattered. Yay for James! We love a protective king. Mother-in-law apparently got sour and was just trash talking. Maggie doesn't drink, but only drinks socially, like when she's out for a family dinner. I'm not sure how many she had, but according to James, it was just enough. Lol. The comments just escalated, and if I'm not mistaken, mother-in-law grabbed her hood when she tried to leave, and that's what started the fight. This information came from James to my husband, and from my husband to me, so I'm only passing on what I've heard. I tried really hard not to press too much about the situation because I know she's weird about talking about things. There was a lot, but ultimately Maggie's reaction was of pure rage. Not to me, but for her mother-in-law. She apologized for talking to me the way she did and for allowing Karen to sway her as much as she did. I could sit here and go on about how we cackled and cried. But we ended up inviting her fiancé over, talking it all out, drinking a bottle of wine, and having a game night. It was good to hang out with her again. And yes, they have gone no contact with Karen. Thanks so much for all your support. Wow, that was not the update I was expecting at all. First of all, mother-in-law absolutely sucks and hopefully she got her just desserts from Maggie. Second of all, good for Maggie for defending herself and not just taking it. And third, good for James to having his future wives back. All in all, a good update. I'm sorry that Maggie's bruised, but we don't know what mother-in-law looks like right now. So here's wishing you the best, OP. Thanks so much for sharing and take care. And now let's move on to the next post that also has an update. This post is from the subreddit Relationship Advice and it's by user Deleted. Husband, 31, makes fun of me, 25, around his family for earning little money. We are married for 6 months now. He started doing this about 2 months ago and does it often since then. He earns about 3,000 monthly while I get just 750 euros. I work as sales assistant in retail. He is a process mechanic. That being said, before we married, he tried to convince me to staying home and promised to take care about me, but I didn't want that. I also wanted to work. Now, he makes fun about my earnings, mostly on family events. He says things like, I need vacation. What about you go to work and I take some free time for myself? Oh, but wait, we would starve with your pay, right? Get a real job. What, you are tired? I wish you could work at our company for 1 day, then you would know what it is to be tired. I felt awful, maybe because he is right. He pays our rent, our bills and everything, but I thought we had a balance by me doing all the household and paying for groceries, cook and so on. I told him that I don't like it when he makes my job looking worthless, but he just says that it's the truth because I don't earn much money. We started to fight because of this almost every day. I don't know what to do. I thought about doing a second job, but I don't know how to manage it because I also do distance learning. Any advice? So you're 6 months into your marriage and he is treating you this way, humiliating you, making you the butt of his jokes and making you feel like crap? OP, that is not at all what a spouse should do in any circumstance. And again, if this is 6 months in, I can't see this getting any better because he definitely has no respect for you. So if I were you, I'd really think hard about whether this is something you'd like to fight for or get out of. And what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's check out the community comments. Jazz PenLV says, the problem here isn't money, it is his lack of respect for you. Campus Tour says, Hi Road, in private. Putting me down because of my salary in front of your family is incredibly disrespectful and I deserve better than that. If you think I'm not pulling my weight financially, then we should definitely have a discussion about our respective earning potential and expectations in our relationship. But snide comments and insults are not okay, and that needs to stop now. Low Road, right in front of his family. No crap, we'd starve to death. Remember when you tried to get me to stay home and not work because you'd take care of me? Turns out you can't provide for a family even with me chipping in. Good thing I keep working, right? And Homicidal Sif says, you stole his control. Hear me out. Financial abuse is when one people controls the income. Yes, they pay the bills, but they keep the other out of the accounts and do not allow or support financial freedom of employment no matter how small the income. Do you have this job with travel still have you in the black? That threatens his absolute control he had, at least subconsciously thought he had. He is lashing out, since this shows a lack of respect for you and a lack of caring if he hurts you. I am concerned you have started seeing the toxicity level in your relationship finally come to the surfaces. Counseling is highly recommended. He's going to resist this though. I am sad to say that 2 of the 4 main foundation points of a healthy relationship are not there any longer, if ever: respect and empathy. You're going to see this behavior of his bleed over into other areas. I am sorry. You will have tough decisions in the future. The community agrees the husband has no respect for OP and that she needs to think about things and what to do. So let's move on to the update to see how this story ends. I took the advice in the comments and confronted him in front of his family by making a joke. At first, there was silence, till his brother made up a fake laughter to calm the situation, as you literally could feel the tension. My husband just gave me a poisonous look and didn't say anything. Later at home, it became a huge fight where he held a speech about his role as a man, his pride, and that I were unable to be a good, caring wife who supports her husband. As I didn't shut up this time, he told me to F off. I took a few things of mine and went to my parents. I can't believe that he changed to this person, as I met him as an open-minded man. And I can't believe we were trying to have a baby together. I'm glad I could open my eyes before it went that far. I'm going to divorce. My parents are thinking that it's a temporary situation, but I don't want to risk a life in abuse and handcuffs. Thank you all for your advice. Well, OP, it sounds to me like you're making the right decision. Hopefully it is swift and you can move forward. Take care, OP, and thanks for sharing. And now let's finish this video with a mood booster post. This post is from the subreddit Petty Revenge and it's by user oddproduce4614. We set up a kettle station in the bedroom in an act of malicious compliance. We've been having issues with two roommates for a while. Our pettiness has reached a new level this week. One of the girls has claimed ownership of a tiny space of the kitchen worktop, conveniently right next to where we have our kitchen utensils, of course. We'd left out our toasty maker for an hour to cool down. She freaked out. Anyways, since the concept of things being on her worktop is so distressing for her, we've decided we should politely confiscate our kettle from the kitchen. She 1000% uses it literally all the time, but we wouldn't want to upset the poor girl by putting things on her worktop, would we? Anyway, we've gone full Monty. We have set up the kettle in our room, bought those little hotel milk things, brought in the sugar and the mugs, and all the sugar and tea from the kitchen. It basically feels like it's a little hotel setup. Mwahaha! The petty revenge worked. Girl is mad, but obviously can't make any comments on the matter without sounding deranged. Winky face. Well, she didn't want things on her countertop. Now she doesn't, does she? Thanks so much for sharing, OP.
And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. Now, if you've gotten to this point in the video, I assume that you like these stories that I'm reading out. So here are a couple more that you might enjoy. And if you don't have any time to watch another story right now, save it for later. And also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.